Good morning, SQL people. We're on lab 4 now. Let's run through this. Number 1 was a pretty simple exercise. I can get this done in a reasonable amount of time. Select category name, product name, list price. There it is. Let's go back over here. I'm just going to cut and paste to spare you the suffering of my typing. This one was straightforward, I think. We'll only know when the grade gets here. So we have select, we have a join statement in our from statement, and we have a double order by. Quite straightforward. And there it goes. It does its thing. Category name, product name, list price, from, categories, and products. Not overly complicated. Which I cannot say for the remainder of the exercises. Let's see what we got going here. All right. What I found helpful in all the other exercises, starting with number 2, in fact, was to actually look at the files, pardon me, tables, to get my bearings and understand what the lab was actually asking. At least I hope I understand. This was an interesting where statement where you had to, well, my solution was that the shipping address ID needed to match the address ID in order to only return addresses that are the shipping address for a customer. I checked the first line item in particular, and it seemed fine. It did. 100 East Ridgewood Avenue was a shipping address. And so I'm moderately confident that this solution was a good one. In terms of looking at the whole, or both tables really, or any tables involved, I'd go over and do this, which is earlier in the book, of course, and would allow me to look at this. We have this being the addresses table, where we have the address ID. But we also had to join it with the customers. And so it was a relatively simple matter. Not enter. That's what you execute. And here's our shipping address ID. So, I am reasonably confident that that's a good solution to the problem. Posed by Lab 2, where the shipping address ID must match the address ID. I had to prove it just to myself, actually. I have this nagging suspicion. I've learned to trust my gut when I have doubts, but we have a shipping address ID of 1 for Alan Sherwood. And we can come over and change this to addresses. And we would see with our shipping address here that we have, under the customer ID, we have 2 different number 1s. But the address ID is 1. So The address ID does match the shipping address ID, and therefore the shipping address is 100 East Ridgewood Avenue, and in turn, 100 East Ridgewood Avenue should be correct. Okay, relaxing. Moving on. Lab 3 was the biggest challenge. These multiple joins with aliases. I think the biggest challenge for me here was that I always wanted to have, for the on statement, the first column, well, actually the first table and column, see customer ID. I wanted to always make that a primary key. And when I hit line 7, I found out that that just wasn't possible, and I had to have a native key on the on statement for OI.product_ID. And then the primary key was the second entry. It seemed to work okay, though, as demonstrated. Number 3 also involved knowing to look down here in the bottom left-hand corner to look for foreign keys and the underscore primary key. And that's where I was able to discover just how to operate the ons. It's really quite fascinating. It's a good thing that I've paid attention to the reading up front about primary and foreign keys, or otherwise I would have been in real trouble. Let's go ahead and make this happen. Bother. Yes, I'm capturing and pasting this. I hope that's tolerable. I don't think anyone has the time to watch me type all this stuff out. Life is too short. So we have primary to foreign, we have primary to foreign, and we have foreign to primary. Because in products, or is it the other way around? Yes, that is correct. If we go to order ID, down to order items. Come on, behave. Yeah, this was a more intense lab. We see that item ID is the only primary key, and so we had to reverse the order and resort to a foreign key to go first. Product ID is foreign on the order underscore items table, and that reverses my order because I always wanted to go primary first. But here I went foreign first, but I still think the results were correct. At the very least, it does run. Onward. Number 4, unions. I've noticed that number 4 usually represents a step back in complexity. I didn't find this as challenging as number 3, and it's good that the exercises make you look back at the previous chapter and pick up on stuff. At least I found that going back to Isnul and Ware is good review, because I sure am certain we're going to have to do it again. And union is really an interesting function, where essentially you have to tell the software that for ship status there are two possible outcomes depending on the data that you have available from our good old friend, the what was that? Where ship date. If a ship date exists, well, logically it's shipped, unless your company has poor data discipline. That never happens. But you didn't want to see a date. You just wanted to know, are we done or not? Did we ship it or not? Is it an outstanding matter or not? And if it isn't, of course, then management says, well, why not? You foolish mortal, you. What went wrong? Further proof that this functions. Yoink! There it is. Love it. It's great. All right. I hope these solutions are all acceptable. Thank you very much. This transmission ends now.